Hello there. Welcome to DMT Highway. Don't forget to subscribe for your daily dose. Let's trip.
Spent the night with a friend, but all evidence points to him being somewhere else. So, before we start, some background. I have a group of friends who have been friends pretty much since kindergarten. There's 4 of us, which means me and 3 more guys. We are all 29 to 30 at the time of writing, and we're 28 to 29 at the time the event happened. We are all really close, even though ever since college, we meet up very rarely. All of us were on long-lasting and steady relationships, either married or the modern equivalent, except for the main subject in this story, who had just come out of a pretty messy divorce. This friend, who is named Andy, had been having a really rough time of life, as his ex-wife decided to leave him right as his mother was dying of cancer, so it was understandable that we were all a bit worried about him. So, one of my friends has a pretty nice country house that's away from civilization enough to allow for a nice weekend retreat every once in a while, and at the start of this story, we had one of those scheduled. The week before, as we were all planning our retreat, Andy decided that he wasn't going because he didn't want to be the only one without a significant other for the entire weekend. We all insisted a bit, but we kinda understood the feeling, and since he had another event to go to during the weekend, we left it alone. Still, I wasn't really satisfied with that as I felt he really could use the change of scenery, so I decided that I'd give him a call Saturday morning right before I left to the country house, offer him a ride, and give him one last chance to show up. I called him from the door of my house, and he sounded kinda weird on the phone like he was sluggish or something. I even joked with him about it, since it was kinda early Saturday, and so I assumed I had woken him up. He didn't laugh or anything, so I thought he was pissed. When I offered to pick him up and give him a ride, he simply replied okay. I told him to pack up a change of clothes and meet me in front of his house, and so we were gone. It was me, the wife, and him in the car for a nice 45-minute drive. I started noticing things were off just as he got in the car. He was acting really stupid, I have no other way to put this. He did not get any jokes, had trouble understanding simple questions, and kept replying either with a simple yes or no, or with a really slurred short phrase at the most. At this point, I and the wife had all reason to be worried about him. We started thinking maybe he'd evolved into some weird form of depression or started doing drugs. He refused to acknowledge anything was wrong with him, and so we simply drove on, hoping maybe he'd open up later on. So, we all arrived, there was food and drinks and videogames, yes, we get away from civilization to play videogames, and we were all friends for over 20 years, so lots of fun were to be had. It quickly became obvious to all of us that Andy wasn't acting alright. He wasn't playing any games, wasn't talking at all, spending most of the time just looking at us or at the outside. He'd have a look of marvel on his face as if he was watching something really impressive unfolding. As time went on I noticed he wasn't eating or drinking anything at all, and the guys swear that he kept tabs, and Andy never went to the bathroom at all for the entire stay. We tried to get him to talk, but he'd just give the exact same response every time, I'm okay. He ended up winning the patience game, and so we just left him to his own devices. The night went on, he sat on a bench outside looking at a stretch of woods near the house, we stayed indoors talking and stuff, and then we decided to sleep. Andy said he'd go soon, he just wanted to chill for a bit outside, and we all let him be. The next morning, late Sunday morning, his bed wasn't made. The sheets were intact on top of it. He was sitting outside in the exact same place we left him in the exact same position. That was it, I was completely freaked out and decided it was time to go back home. We packed our stuff and said our goodbyes, everyone was really worried about him, but we all felt creeped out, so we just called it a weekend and left. I drove him home, dropped him off, and went home myself. Later that night, we ended up all meeting each other again in a restaurant for a birthday get-together of a common friend. I noticed Andy was himself again, and my other 2 friends looked really puzzled. So I sat down and asked him, "What the hell happened yesterday, man?" He replied something like yeah, my car broke down, and Peter here had to pick me up in the middle of the night after the bar. Well, that made no sense, and so we all started asking questions and trying to puzzle it all back. Turns out he was at the bar with a couple of the other guys at the same time he was with us at the country house. When we kept insisting, in a kind of panic, that that was impossible, multiple people showed us pictures of him at said event. There were freaking pictures. So we all freaked out, and noticing that we weren't joking, Andy freaked out as well. We confirmed via phone history that his phone in fact got my call Saturday morning, but he doesn't remember answering it. After this, the talk did continue, but we really couldn't get anywhere, and that was it. As the months passed by, the three of us all got really afraid of Andy and who he could be. We still have no idea of who was with us at the house, and Andy has gotten really sick of hearing about this, to the point of getting really mad when the subject comes up. He says the most rational explanation is we all got confused and thought this up. I'm still nervous about that to this day, especially because I dropped him off at his house and saw him enter. Where the hell did fake Andy go to? Did he do anything while we were all asleep? Do any of you guys know of anything like this? I asked around and nothing really fits. I'm not really a believer in paranormal things, but I have no other explanations. I felt like writing this to maybe get it out, as the other guys and my wife don't like talking about it, as it gets everyone really nervous.